program, which includes interviews with those who are health professionals. Also, we're going to include human interest stories of those who have overcome hardships in life, and many who will be here to share tips on how to maintain and improve your health. Some will be here to share important medical information and general health news and updates. So I want to thank you for joining us. I'm Gail McKenzie. I'm your host. And today our guest is MichaelBoyd. Michael lives in Cookeville, Tennessee, and he's here to share with us his incredible story of faith and what it's meant for him to overcome a traumatic and life-changing accident that left him paralyzed and in a wheelchair. So Michael, thank you for coming. We welcome you. I'm really glad you're here. I'd like to ask you first, if you would like to share your unique journey with us. Maybe we should begin where the accident happened. 19 years ago, something happened that changed your life forever.
It was a Wednesday afternoon, July 13, 1994. Actually makes it just less than 18 years ago.
Yes.
But I was invited to do a roofing job on a house.
So you're a roofer? Hate to interrupt you, but you're a roofer, or is that something on the side that you did?
A little bit of a jack of all trades, but
I see.
Probably carpentry was my specialty. That's what I most frequently was called onto. But I've been trained in a lot of different trades. That's what I used to do. I'm good with my hands, or was good with my hands.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a scaffold that sunk in the soil, the soft backfill soil, leaned up against the house, and it fell below the fascia of the house and over against the house while I was reaching for the cap shingles. Wow. From the laborer on the ladder below me.
Wow, okay.
And when I was reaching for those cap shingles, I was in a compromised balance position already. It just pitched me right straight forward, and I went head first to the ground and landed head first. I actually put a little dent in the ground.
You're kidding me. Okay.
I have a hard head.
Well, okay, that's good. That was a good thing, I guess.
I don't actually remember the fall, but I
see.
Remember hearing a loud pop. And once my senses came to and I started seeing things again, I realized that that loud pop was the bones breaking in my neck.
Wow.
After being at the hospital and getting the word, found out that it was cervical 6 and 7 vertebrae that broke.
Wow, that must have been devastating kind of to hear, wasn't it? Or how did you feel then?
I was like, it makes perfect sense.
You heard that sound, didn't
yeah,
you? Yes.
Yeah. It was a true pain in the neck.
Okay, all righty. I'm going to pass that one up. I'm not going to go on that.
Okay.
So, move on that.
Yeah.
So and the result of that then was what?
Instant paralysis.
I see.
My dad's a retired physical therapist. He was practicing as a physical therapist at the time of my accident. Mm-hmm. So I had helped him with individuals in the paralyzed condition, such as I just now had entered.
Right.
So, you know, I was faced with the reality I was probably going to be in a wheelchair the rest of my life.
Wow.
Right then.
So that just kind of flooded over you probably, didn't it? Just the whole trying to take all of that in.
Well, another thing about me is I like to be around people. So all of a sudden I was getting a lot of attention.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So I guess that was a positive note then, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
I think our viewers would probably like to know, what was your life like before your accident? What were some of the things that you liked to do?
I was extremely active outdoors, even as a child. If I was a little wimpy inside, my mom was trying all kinds of options indoors to soothe me.
I see.
It wouldn't usually work.
Okay.
So she'd pick me up in her arms, and as soon as she stepped over the threshold, I quit crying.
Really?
I'm that way today. You take me outside,
Okay.
all is well.
Everything's okay. Well, you
Yes.
know what? That's a great place to be, isn't it,
Yeah.
outdoors?
I eventually got into things like hang gliding and mountain climbing, rock climbing, rappelling, scuba diving. I was a water safety instructor.
Wow.
Could teach swim lessons.
Wow.
Backpacking.
You were very active.
Yes.
Then you would be considered a very active and in shape kind of guy, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Did triathlons.
Oh, you did? Even
Yeah.
did triathlons. Wow.
Yeah.
And I know that's really I have some friends that do that. So, not me, but they do it. I think I admire anybody that can do that. Maybe you'd like to share with our viewers how people just kind of rallied around you, even those that you didn't even know, helped you through this devastation of living in a wheelchair. Who were those people and how did they kind of come to your aid?
Well, I attended the Cleveland Bowman Hills Seventh-day Adventist Church when soon before my accident happened. And they had a fundraiser one evening that ended up raising $4,000 just that evening.
Wow.
And it made it possible for me to be able to get into a wheelchair that was very comfortable to push around and get around in. I was encouraged during my rehab experience to consider a power chair, and I said, there is no way I'm going to get into a power chair until I can't push these manual chairs anymore.
Okay.
I'm used to working hard, and I have fewer muscles now to get there, and it makes it that much more difficult to go. But hey, if this wheelchair will move under my own power, that was what I wanted.
Good.
Not only those friends at Bowman Hills, but also had several years later a group of friends from my academy days, high school days.
Okay, yes.
They got involved in a fundraiser unbeknown to me.
They surprised you, and then
They did. I went to homecoming, and we were in between meetings, and they announced announced a fundraiser that had taken place, and I was like, how come you didn't let me know?
You weren't in on that part, right?
That's right. And then they called me forward after he'd said that the fundraiser was for alumni that had experienced catastrophic circumstances. So I figured, hey, I'm an icon for catastrophic circumstance. And the very school that we were at that day had taught us about being up front, so I went up front. I was very compliant. And he began to explain that there were dreams that Michael still had, and he began to explain some of the dreams that I had. One of them being a wheelchair accessible treehouse. And I thought, well, how'd you know? And he asked me to explain that about the wheelchair accessible treehouse, which is, I'd already had the plans drawn up.
Oh my, really? So you had that all figured out in your mind and on paper? Well,
nothing ventured, nothing gained, you know. Well, one thing I did have was time, so I drew the plans, and I still have those plans today. The treehouse hasn't been built, but they didn't quite have it figured out. How much one of those tree houses would cost to have somebody fabricate that for me. But he said, one thing we do know, that Michael enjoys expending a lot of energy. We remember Michael coming to homecoming before, riding his bicycle 100 miles from college up here to Knoxville to homecoming, and then turn around after homecoming and ride the 100 miles back to college.
In one day? Did you do? No, 2 days.
I'd ride up in one day and
Come back the next day.
Yeah,
okay.
the next day.
Yeah, because that would be day and night. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I had been known to go a couple 100 miles in a day, but
wow.
Not for that experience.
All right.
I had a homecoming to fit in there too.
Yes,
yeah. So ended up, they wanted to get a hand cycle for me, which was also another one of my dreams.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah, tell us what that is, because I'm not sure what a hand cycle. I know what a bicycle is, but and a tricycle and all that, but a hand cycle, what is that?
A hand cycle is also 3 wheels.
Okay.
And it has the same gearing componentry, brakes and things such as a bicycle has.
Okay.
Very lightweight, but you need 3 wheels since my balance stinks. As, you know, being paralyzed. So
No
problem. With a seat in a recumbent position, my legs are out on either side of the front wheel.
I see.
There's hand cranks instead of pedals, and the hand cranks are used with the arm power.
Can you? I hate to interrupt you. Can you show me? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you just crank.
All right.
In unison instead of opposite, like regular.
Okay,
pedals.
so it's not like bicycle pedals, but it's all in unison.
Yes.
Wow.
The reason being is if you go opposing cranks like that,
yes,
you end up weaving all over the road.
Okay. All right.
Not good.
Kind of like this, swerving back and forth.
Yes.
Okay.
So they weren't sure which hand cycle I wanted, so they told me we're going to give Michael the privilege of ordering anything he wants.
Wow.
So he asked me if I had anything to say, and I said, well, yeah, thank you. So
what an amazing gift. Wow.
It was like freedom. I can hardly wait to get home and order that.
I bet you could. I bet you were just chomping at the bit to do that, weren't you? Yes.
So then I thought I was done after I said thank you, and I started rolling back to the aft of the auditorium where I came from to begin with before coming up and sharing. And I got about halfway back, and he said, Michael, we're not finished yet. So I turned around right there in the middle of the auditorium, and he began to explain to the audience that I had another dream, and that was a wheelchair accessible handicap van.
Yes.
And he began to explain it just like the one that I had posted on my bulletin board in my bedroom at the house. And I thought somebody for sure has been snooping.
How did they get that picture, right? Yes.
I mean, wheelchair accessible treehouse, a hand cycle, and now this van.
Wow.
And I thought there is no way they don't know what they're getting into. These vans are expensive. Well, to make a long story short, he said, when you exit the doors out the auditorium, your brand new Dodge Grand Caravan 2000 is sitting on the sidewalk.
Wow.
I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so I did both.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure you did, Michael.
They handed the keys to one of my classmates, and she pushed the button to open the remote button to open the van up. When the ramp came down, I just rolled in like, this is the way it's done, folks.
Oh, my. Oh, how exciting that must have been.
I didn't know where to start. I mean, all of a sudden I could envision freedom like I had never experienced before.
Yes.
And it was just days, well, it was about a week before they gave me all this, that I was extremely frustrated at the desk in my bedroom.
Ah, okay.
I, being an outdoor kind of individual that I am, what I had to do was computer. And that was relatively new to me. I'd avoided computers all my life up to that point. The technology I was most interested in was the next power tool for construction.
You were a Home Depot guy,
yeah, Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever. And I was so frustrated because this computer just wasn't quite working the way that I needed. So much work. I just wasn't comprehending what needed to go. So I felt like sweeping the whole thing off on the floor, and I took a break from that computer and went outside. My dad had poured 160 feet of concrete sidewalk into the woods.
Really?
And I
so
used
that
to,
you could go through, oh wow.
Yeah.
Go on your walk in the woods.
Yeah. I'd go out there at the end of the sidewalk, and that's where I spent a lot of time just thinking and talking to the Lord. And this particular day, I went out at the end of that sidewalk, and I said, Lord, either give me a break or help me to get this. And I was sitting there at the end of that sidewalk, just inhaling deep and thinking, do I even want to go back inside? Well, in about 2 days after that, I began to feel at peace. For whatever reason, I didn't know.
Wow. So God just kind of filled that void there, all those questions and that search that you had there at
Couldn't
that time.
explain it. Couldn't explain what was going on, why I got that peace, but I did. I know now what was going on. He was just priming me for some good that break.
All those surprises that came. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, that is amazing that you had friends and people, and even probably some that didn't know you, but they gathered around you and they were able to come into your life and bring you that freedom that you hadn't experienced since your accident. So now I have a question for you, maybe a little bit personal, but what was your awareness of others in the condition like you are with disabilities, before your accident, as opposed to you now placed in this kind of a circumstance and position? Did that change for you at all?
It did.
Okay.
When I was in college, I looked across campus one day at one of my friends that was paralyzed. He had a gymnastic accident right over here in Portland, Tennessee.
Wow.
And when I looked at him, I didn't really audibly speak this to the Lord, but I was thinking, Lord, I can take a lot of things, but being paralyzed isn't one of them.
Wow. Oh, man.
So when I was laying on the ground at the accident site, I know that the Lord didn't give me the strength to take paralysis until I needed that strength. I was at peace right there on the ground. Yes, I was in a lot of pain, but normally when I was in a confined situation like I was experiencing laying on the ground, couldn't move, I would panic. I used to get in caves, and if I got in a tight spot, it was like, breathe. I can't take this confinement. But here I was, unable to move, and there was a peace.
Wow.
I never appreciated a siren, the sound of a siren more.
Yes, I'm sure.
When it was coming, I was, oh, please get here soon.
Yeah, you knew help was on the way.
Yeah.
It's interesting how your perspective changes, doesn't it, when we're put in different circumstances, and we can't anticipate that sometimes.
Right.
I really appreciate your positive attitude and upbeat attitude, Michael, and how you seem to be at peace with where you are. I read a book, it's been years ago, but I like this quote, the author, and I don't know if it was from him or he picked it up someplace else, but he said, "In this life, pain is inevitable, but misery is optional." And I look at you and I see that's kind of where you're at. I love that. And it's certainly been your mantra. What would you consider your triumphs right now?
I think the biggest triumph that I could personally say is that before my accident, I was extremely independent.
Mm.
And a lot of people would call on me
Mm-hmm.
to take them camping, take them rock climbing, take them whitewater rafting. If they had an issue with a repair issue in their home or whatever, I could take care of it. I was a hands-on.
You were the go-to guy, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I needed somebody out there that was like me, capable of taking care of things that I needed done.
I see.
I couldn't do it now. So I had to learn to depend on something much bigger than MichaelBoyd.
Oh, man.
And that's my biggest triumph, because I have to depend more. Well, that's somebody outside of me is Jesus Christ.
Yes. Yes.
And that is just that's something I so much recognize I needed even back then.
Right.
Yes, I depended on God and was in church every week, or if it wasn't in a building, it was in the big cathedral outdoors.
Yes.
And we were doing church outside somewhere.
It's kind of easy to take independence for granted, isn't it? I mean,
Sure
we're just
is.
so used to being that way, just being able to do it ourselves. And little kids, first thing they say, I can do it myself. So I think we just all grow up with that inside of us. Let me ask you this. Let's hear a little bit about how you are involved in your church and community, because I looked at a list that, I've got your story here in front of me, and it's not short. I see a lot of things that you're doing right now. Share with our viewers what you are involved in.
Well, some of the things that I'm involved with at church now is I'm one of the elders. I'm also involved with a Pathfinder club for the kids.
Okay.
I'm I'm the chair, a good title for me. And,
okay. Yeah, I like that.
The social committee.
They can put the chair wherever they want it to.
That's right,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I'm also involved with the Adventist Christian Fellowship on the Tennessee Tech campus with the university students.
Wow. Okay.
That's at church. At one time, I had way too many things that I was volunteering for, and I realized I had 7 different volunteer opportunities just at church.
Okay.
And I had
you were wearing too many hats, weren't you?
I was.
Yes.
I was. I had about 5 other civil and community volunteer opportunities, some of them on the state level, that brought me over here to Nashville. It was a busy life, and I told them at the church, I'm narrowing this down to about 3 things. You figure out which 3 you want me to do. Yeah.
Well, good.
Some of the things that I'm doing as far as community involvement is I'm on the AmeriGroup Advisory Board committee. It meets here in Nashville. Also have done a lot of other things with, like in town, leisure services, advisory board.
Okay.
Been on just a stack of things that.
Well, you seem to be a popular guy. They like to put you on their boards, don't they?
Yeah.
You've got a great input, I'm sure, when it comes to a lot of different things. So
I like the disability feedback on certain things that come up.
That perspective is very important, right?
Yeah.
Right, for a community to understand, what needs there are there. That's really great. And now, real quick here, as we kind of wind down here, tell us some of your health regimens that you practice to stay fit and to keep your muscles and bones. I know there was one that you talked about, you stand every day. I was very curious about that.
Yeah, well, that's part of my exercise program.
Okay.
Every day when I get up, I figure I have a new start.
Okay.
And I use that acronym, New Start acronym, to figure out if I can get these 8 things in New Start each day.
So what do they stand for?
It's a good thing. The N is nutrition.
Okay.
Good nutrition. I happen to be a vegetarian. Served me well all my life.
All right.
The E is for exercise, and I routinely push this wheelchair 4 miles a day for sustained exercise.
Okay.
My caregivers tend to get the exercise with me. And also the
S stands, or the W, or the W is
water, inside and out.
Okay.
I drink lots of water every day.
And the S then?
The S is for sunshine.
Okay. T?
The T is for temperance.
Okay.
Temperate, go at things with
right.
Be
moderate
in every way.
Right.
And also the
A is for
air, and lots of fresh air. I love it outside. R is get plenty of rest.
Right.
And then probably the most important one is trust in divine power.
And certainly that's been your life, hasn't it, Michael?
Yeah.
And I can see that. I can hear it in your story. I know that our viewers have been blessed by, seeing your faith, being able to face this challenge and being able to trust God in all that you've had to face. If there's just one last word that you could give our viewers as a word of encouragement to maybe those who may be facing challenges, maybe not like yours, but similar circumstances that they find themselves in, what would you say to them today?
I would say this is not the end of the world. Mm-hmm. There is better things coming someday, but you have all kinds of opportunities to do with what you have today. Jesus is coming someday soon, and we're going to look back at this as, well, just like 2 Corinthians 4:17 says, our light affliction is but for a moment, but it's bringing for us a far greater weight of eternal glory.
Wow. What a powerful promise, right?
That's right.
That is. Well, I want to thank you so much, and I know, I don't think we've gotten the whole story, so I think maybe we need to have you come back again and give us a little more of what your daily routine is. But we thank you. Thank you for sharing with us and giving us great faith, and we want to thank you joining us today, and I hope that you have been blessed